Hey YouTube, it's GV Loan Guy. It is April 6, 2013, and I'm responding to a series of questions that came in the comment section under my latest video. So I'm going to try to answer some of the questions, and I'll tell you the reason why I'm going to answer the questions. Try to go through a little history, my own personal history, because this actually is a video documentary of my experience with cancer. I have an actual series of videos called My Journey with Cancer. You can follow those. But also I have another series of videos called the Amazon Black Salve, and there's a bunch of those. We're kind of nearing the end of those, I think. There might be a couple more, but then that's going to be over, and I'll be going back to just adding to the playlist called My Journey with Cancer. But in the meantime, this video is under the Black Salve heading category playlist, and I thought that the questions that this fellow asked were interesting enough that I can't expect everyone to go back and watch every one of my videos. There's a lot of them, and I realize that a lot of the information I'm about to give is information that is probably in one form or another on another older video somewhere along the line. But rather than expecting new subscribers and new people to go all the way back and watch all the videos from the beginning, I've decided to go ahead and give a little bit of a personal history in this video, which is probably going to be more personal history than I have actually revealed up to this point. So this, I guess, in a sense, is going to be a little bit, you might call it new. So let's take a quick look at the questions. John Fiorino, 2 days ago, that would have been on April 4th, wrote a series of 4 comments in a row, which have received a few comments of their own. Anyway, it starts off with this one here, and wow, I wish you all the best of luck. It's scary stuff. Tell us about yourself. How old are you? What do you do for a living? Where do you live? Family history of cancer? Have you lost weight? Did you ever smoke, drink, drugs, vegetarian? Do you have any other health issues? What's happening with the other cancer that is spread in your body? Do you go to work with the Black Salve treatments? Cover up the wounds when out in public? Have kids, pets? Okay, let me see if I can remember all of that. Okay, so for starters, this year I will turn 65. So right now I'm 64. I got diagnosed with this cancer in 2010, May, or actually a little bit before May, April. 3 years ago, exactly. And in that period of time, I think I started off, I was about 185 pounds on average. Right now I'm struggling to keep 145 pounds. So I've lost over 40 pounds, most of it in the last 15 months. In the last 15 months, all of 2012 and this part of 2013 so far, I've been on the vegetarian / vegan / gluten-free / diet. So I've lost a bunch of weight as a result of the diet itself, trying to avoid all the animal proteins and dairy products. And I've done pretty good about that. I do have some animal protein, I do have some eggs, I'll eat some white fish occasionally, some white meat, chicken occasionally. But for the most part, I do avoid all the regular meat and dairy products. I try to eat a lot of vegetables, fruits. If I eat whole grain, if I eat wheat products, they're going to be whole grain or sprouted. Let's see. I live up on the north coast of California. I've lived up here for about 5 years, right on the coast. We're less than a mile from the ocean. I've put some videos out showing the local beaches in my area just to share. Video postcards, I call them. I spent my life in the commercial printing field, mostly doing electronic pre-press, the front end work. Had my own business for many years, 20-something employees. We did pretty good till the industry changed and everything changed there. A history of cancer in the family. Yes, actually, my father died as a result of cancer. They never really call cancer the cause of death. So therefore, in the statistical world, cancer rarely kills anybody. I mean, it does, but rarely. I think most of the time it is heart failure or some other kind of organ failure that in fact kills people. And that's what's listed on the death certificate. So unfortunately, cancer doesn't get all the credit that it deserves. And I'm sure that's the way it was in my father's case. Other health issues? No. I don't have any other health issues. I've never had any health issues in my whole life. All of this started 3 years ago with no prior history of cancer on my part. My dad had cancer. I'm not sure what kind of cancer it was. I know it was on his lungs, but not in his lungs, and I know that it was spread throughout his whole body. But he went for the experimental levels of radiation and chemotherapy back in the 80s, mid 80s, and so they were really, um, you know, they made the last 2 years of his life just utter hell, I would say. He spent the last 2 years at home in a hospital bed in the front room, and basically with my mom taking care of him, suffering. So when I saw that, I decided that if I got cancer, I was not going to do the same treatment. I decided my own self that I would rather spend my last days alive with better quality of life than what I saw. It didn't seem to me that the 2 years that my dad spent struggling and fighting and trying to hang on, it didn't seem to me like they were really good quality days for him each day. And that's something that I battle. I try to, I've been trying to pay attention to the things that I do during each and every day, because the fact of the matter is, at this point in time, being 3 years into my melanoma and probably at least a year into the stage 4, it's spread significantly. So, I guess in the last year. But anyway, I'm rambling a little bit, but that's the way this video is going to be. So, I grew up in the 60s and I made a point of living on the street, even though I didn't have to. I wanted to experience it, and so I pretty much did all of the street drugs that were available in the early 60s and late 60s. So I guess I did drugs in the past. Let's see. Do I go to work with the Black Salve on? No, I've actually had to take a medical disability leave from work because well, a couple things. The pain is unbearable and I'm constantly on strong pain medication. And it gets quite gross and ugly, and I don't think it's suitable for the public. Everyone supports me and suggests that I shouldn't care if people see this or not, but well, it may be true that I even agree with them, but I still have a hard time just sort of shoving it right out there in people's face. So you'll see me around town and I'll be wearing a hooded sweatshirt because it kind of covers me up a little bit. Other times it may be just completely exposed, just depends on my mood, but as a general rule of thumb, I don't like to show it off. So no, I don't go to work or out into public just generally with it exposed like that. All right, here's another one. Have there been any scientific studies on Black Salve? No, I don't think anything that would qualify because Black Salve is not something you can patent. It's not a medicine that can just put on the market. It's herbs and some stuff put together. So it will never be supported by traditional medicine. I think I answered why I didn't go with traditional medicine already. Do you ever wonder if you are doing the wrong thing by going this route? Do you think that you are taxing your body by causing all these cycles of inflammation and Black Salve, draining energy that your body needs to heal all the other cancer? How is your energy level? Have you had a history of illness before this? What is your mood? How is your appetite? Do I ever think that I've taken the wrong route? Well, I think like anybody, I get doubts and questions as to whether I've made the right decision or not. I think that's a normal human experience. But no, I don't believe I've made a mistake in the treatment that I've done, and I don't believe that taking the Black Salve or using the Black Salve on this side of my face, I'm going to try not to show you. I don't believe that that has had any negative effect on me. The purpose in doing this, the Black Salve up here, was to do a local reduction of the tumors. Once that was done, my intention was to flood the interior with the Laetrile, DMSO, high-dose vitamin C, whatever I can do to fight this. But this was to get rid of the bulk, the big bulk that was painful and growing rapidly. Now granted, I have other tumors that have, since I've been working on this, other tumors have turned up. But quite frankly, I'm pretty confident that would have happened anyway. That happens through the lymph system. That's how they spread. And the very first surgery that I had to remove up here was to remove a big lymph node right on the side of my cheek there. So it's been in my lymph nodes for well over a year and a half. So like I said, at this point for me, every day, I consider every single day a gift. Every day is a gift. That's the way I look at it. And I'm thankful for every day. So it's also important that I use every day for something beneficial, something positive. Need to get outside, get barefooted, walk in the grass barefooted, walk on the beach barefooted, walk in the redwood forest, you know, wherever you live. If you're in the same boat that I'm in, you've got to go push yourself out to get out. I have to push myself. Taxing my body, yes, it does tax my body, but it puts a lot of energy. Whenever I'm using the Black Salve, there's a tremendous amount of energy that goes into the local area. You get the redness and swelling and the pain and all the white blood cells rushing over there to fight this infection, this newly discovered infection that needs to be pushed out of the body. And while all that's going on, there is a drain on my body, absolutely. Yes, no doubt. And with the pain medicine required, that adds another whole dimension to the whole issue. My energy level is generally good when I'm off the pain meds. The pain meds have more to do with my energy level than the Black Salve does. But no, the information on Black Salve is all basically anecdotal, which means that it's been published by people on the internet, but that is always subject to questionability as to whether it's valid, the real deal, whatever. I put my videos up in a series so you could see the progress, so that there's no question. There's no question at all about the progress from start to finish, from the beginning to the end. You've seen the whole thing take place right here on YouTube. All right, let me get back to the questions. How long did you wait before you sought medical treatment for the original spot on your forehead? What are the doctors saying? Did you look for the best traditional treatment at a respected treatment center? Okay. When I first got diagnosed, I think it was April of 2010, my reaction was like anyone else would be, to, in essence, panic. I wanted to get rid of this thing as quick as possible. It was a spot that I had up on my forehead. And it was like, ooh, I got cancer. I need to get rid of the cancer. I thought that little spot was the cancer, which it was. That's all it was. But now I find out that their newest medical treatment is to try to locate the what they call a sentinel node for the very spot where you have skin cancer. They want to find the sentinel node. This is a new thing that they're doing. So they go and they dig in, and in my case it was in the cheek, right through the corner of my jaw, which is right where all the action is. They cut into there looking for the sentinel node. Right away, within a month of discovering my cancer. Now, the tumor that came from here was cancerous, but the sentinel node was not affected in any way. So the cancer had not spread at that point to basically to anywhere. Hadn't spread to the lymph node, hadn't spread anywhere. But as soon as they cut me here and started stitching me back up, and whatever happened during the 3 hours that they were poking around in there with their gloves and their tools, that for all I know they used the same ones up here as down here. I don't know what they did. I was unconscious. But all I know is when I came out of the surgery, I had cancer all over the side of my face, everywhere that they sewed me up. In fact, it followed, if you look at the earlier videos, you'll see that the tumors follow the line of the stitches every time, every surgery. So I got to the point where my surgery, they could no longer do anything to help me with surgery. I had 4 surgeries. The 4th one was in April 1 year ago. And that one was a minor one that they removed some stuff along the front of the ear there. 3-4 months before that was a major one that they removed the entire lymph up here in the cheek, in front of the ear. A large lymph thing. So the doctors, my surgeon at the time said to me, there's no more surgery that I can do to help you. It's spread too far. If I do any more cutting, we're gonna have to remove half your face and half your ear and half your neck. So basically surgery is out. The only thing left was chemotherapy and radiation, which you already know how I feel about that, but I did go and discuss it with an oncologist anyway to see what he had to say. And basically he had one thing to offer me, which I really wasn't that interested in because the side effects were such a risk that it didn't seem like, for the possible benefit of gaining 6 months of life, the side effects looked like they could bring about something that would be potentially life-threatening by itself. So I chose to avoid that, and at that time is when we decided to go on to the Black Salve, which was November of last year. So roughly 4 months I've been dealing with the Black Salve. And now I'm pretty much over with it. We're going to finish up here, let these heal over so I can get back to work. I will then continue with the internal stuff, and that's what we'll continue with. Let's see. Have I always preferred the natural approach? Have you had past successes, failures with traditional medicine, natural medicine? Have you heard of cases similar to yours being cured with Black Salve? There's a lot of information on the internet. There's a couple of long, full-length movie-type documentaries that show quite a few histories of people that have been cured with Black Salve, and I know of a lady that has been cured herself of cancer after they sent her home to die. She did this with Black and Yellow Salve over the course of a year and a half, and she's still alive today, and it's almost 14 years ago now. Over 13 years, almost 14 years ago. So yeah, there's a lot of information. There's another lady on YouTube, her story's on YouTube, that 5 years ago had this major thing removed from her leg. It's really hard to watch, but um, she had success in removing the cancer from her whole body. So there are cases where the cancer has been removed from the whole body through one opening. In my case, I have an advanced stage of aggressive, malignant, recurrent melanoma, which means that it is very aggressive, spreads very rapidly, and requires some sort of more aggressive and rapid treatment to keep it under control. So while I think I have the tumors on my face under control, the other stuff is still active. So I'm moving into that as the next category. Treatment centers, reputable treatment centers, yeah. No, no, I don't think so. They're all pretty much anyone that will take insurance. I mean, I can't afford $30,000. I found some for about half that and still can't really get the funds together to do that. So I'm doing my own version of that sort of treatment. But no, I'm not going to go to a traditional treatment center that is basically just going to offer me the same old, same old. I'm not interested in that. That's not a cure. That doesn't do anything except put money into the hands of the pharmaceutical companies. Doesn't do anything for me or my family. All right, let's see what else is up here. How long did I wait? I went right away. Did I ever consider chemo? I did consider it, but no, I'm not doing it. You still see a traditional? Yes, I do. Have any of the doctors said I'm doing more harm than good? No, can't say as I've heard that. Are you religious, man? Do I pray? Yes. I don't know that I would say I'm a religious man, but I'm a Christian. I'm a born again believer, and I do pray. But I don't know if I would be considered a religious man. In fact, I don't really like religion, but I love Jesus. So does that make sense? Anyway, I'm going to end it right there. I hope this answered some questions about my current situation, where I came from. Oh, one last thing for those of you that think maybe this came from the sun. I did experience when I was a kid. I grew up in South Florida. I was brown as you could imagine from being out in the sun all day long. Uh, we got an occasional sunburn, but that was 50 years ago. 50 years prior to this turning up. So um, I did get a sunburn on my forehead. I've had a few in my lifetime, but I did get one on my forehead that I remember about 5 years ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I remember thinking, "Oh, that really is thin skin right up there to get such a sunburn." So maybe that did happen at that point in time. I'm not sure, but it didn't show up until 3 years ago, March or April of 2010, and it showed up in a discoloration spot that I had for my whole life, a light shade of, little skin discoloration, much like the one on this side prior to it having its own little black dot show up. But the small discoloration up here, had it for my whole life. Then all of a sudden, in the middle of it, appears this dark, kind of almost black little spot. maybe a 1/16 of an inch in diameter, real small, a millimeter, something real small. And that was where it started. I just wish that I knew about Black Salve at that time. I would have put it right on there, and perhaps that would have been the entire end of the story. But I didn't, and this is the story. By the way, thanks for watching all my videos and subscribing. I really appreciate you guys. There you go. Thank you for watching. I hope I answered John's questions. And for those of you that have been following a long time, I apologize for going back over some of this stuff. I hope there was some new stuff there. And once again, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you can get my updates as they come out. All right, you take care.